Are you ready?
Let's go.
Now circling in the neutral zone.
Here's the pitch on the way. 36 yards for the win.
This.
Here comes a big chance. The shot.
Is
this the dagger?
The neutral zone.
This is as good as it gets.
The Neutral Zone is brought to you by the Ontario Para Network. Follow them online at onpara.ca.
Now, here's your host, two-time Paralympian, Brock Richardson.
What's going on? It's time for another edition of The Neutral Zone. I am indeed your host, Brock Richardson. Coming up on this edition of The Neutral Zone, we are thrilled to be joined by the Ontario men's wheelchair basketball provincial coach, Jesse McNalley. Plus, the panel will discuss what the difference might be between winning a provincial championship versus a national championship and a league championship as well. So we're going to talk about it all over the next hour or so. I'm joined by Claire Buchanan and Cam Jenkins. Here comes your headlines.
Neutral Zone headlines.
Two teams were crowned at the Canadian Wheelchair Basketball League in both Division 1 and Division 2. The Centre d'Intégration à la Vie Active topped the Alberta Northern Lights 67-45 in the Division 1 gold medal game. In the Division 2 gold medal game, Aigles de Valleyfield won the division 58-44 over 46 North. Congratulations to both teams, and we look forward to some of those athletes being represented at the national championships this May.
We would also like to congratulate Bocce Canada, who came home from a recent Challenger event in Santiago, Chile, with 7 medals. They had 2 gold, 2 silver, and 3 bronze. We congratulate them on a successful event and the first one of 2025.
The Winnipeg Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuck becomes the 7th goaltender in NHL history to record 45 wins in a single season. He had a fantastic season this year, so congratulations to Connor and the Winnipeg Jets.
Those are your headlines for this week. If you want to get a hold of us on social, here's how you can do that.
And welcome back to the Neutral Zone broadcast booth.
Play ball!
We're set to get this bowl game underway. The first pitch is brought to you by Brock Richardson's X account at Neutral Zone BR. First pitch and a strike. Hey gang, why not strike up a chat with Claire Buchanan from the Neutral Zone? Find her on X at Neutral Zone CB. There's a swing of the chopper out to second base, right at Claire as she picks up the ball, throws it over to the first base for a routine play.
Out!
And fans, there's nothing routine about connecting with Cam and Josh from the Neutral Zone at Neutral Zone Cam J and at J Watson 200. And the Neutral Zone is brought to you by the Ontario Para Network. Connect with them at ON Para Network. Follow them online at onpara.ca. Now that's a winning combination.
We are thrilled to be joined by the Ontario men's provincial basketball coach, Jesse McNalley. Jesse, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here.
So, Jesse, we thought we'd start off by talking about how you were hired for the position in January of 2025. And what was it about this position that intrigued you?
I really like the athletes, specifically in this group. We get along really well. Just enjoy the basketball that they play, and they're great guys. And I kind of on my way up on the coaching side of things, and I thought this would just be a great opportunity.
Yeah, you are definitely building quite the resume on the coaching side, and you usually see a 12 athlete roster, and this time you've picked 10 with 2 alternates. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision?
Yeah, so I think ultimately we want to give the guys the most playing time as possible. Now, I haven't picked my alternates yet because they are quite young and they're growing rapidly. They're getting good fast, and I want to make sure I make the right decision. So I also want them to be pushing hard for that spot. And if there is someone that we don't take, there's a really good chance that they'll be on it next year. So I think it really it makes sense that they're attending all our practices and getting all the experience possible.
And the national championships, as I understand, are going to be held in Durham, and that's about a month away. Can you talk to us a little bit about your training schedule and how you've been preparing your team for this big event?
Yeah, so we have 2 more training sessions coming up. I'll be picking the full team after the next training session. I'll probably still allow those alternates that may not be selected for the team to still come out to the next one. So yeah, we're just going to be practicing a bunch of stuff I don't really want to say, just in case, some Quebec guys are listening or something. But in general, we're going to be having a little bit of a scrimmage in that second one. So we'll be getting as much experience as possible and getting as much playing time as possible. This specific group, we do get a lot of practice together. There's a lot of us that do train out of the Pan Am Center. We do Friday scrimmages, so we do get a lot of basketball together.
Well, hopefully a good chunk of those guys are listeners to our show, and they're listening in right now. And so this isn't your first kind of coaching position. You've built your way up, and you've been in different spaces within wheelchair basketball to get to this point. And what has been the most rewarding part about your coaching journey?
I love just, walking into a room, been around the sport forever, and just basically knowing everyone in the room. It's a really great community around the sport. So I really enjoy that. I've been around it for so long that I feel at home around everybody, especially on the court, on the sidelines, whatever it is. Feels like family.
And what is it about coaching that challenges you the most?
Just definitely the decision-making part of it. There's a million decisions that you can always make throughout a game or even practice, and just making sure that you're making the right ones. And you never really are sure if you did or you didn't. Sometimes if you didn't. So I think just deciding what you want to do at specific times, and a lot of it is just it has to be on the fly, right? It has to be a quick decision. So I would say that.
Yeah, you definitely make a lot of decisions in the moment, but going into this team specifically, what is Team Ontario's style of play? What does a team of athletes being coached by Jesse McNalley bring to the floor?
I think we're going to be a quick team. We're going to rely on a lot of speed and chemistry. We're going to be working as a team really well. We have a lot of good shooters from the outside, but we also have a lot of cutters. We have inside threats. We have a lot of mid-pointers, which is actually not, seen a lot in Canada. We'll probably be playing a little bit different style of play according to the other teams. A lot of the other teams will be having a few bigs on the court and then a few smalls, where we will be kind of using up all those point systems. Within, you got Ibrahim now is a 2-5. Broden, that's a 3-5. So we're going to throw out some interesting lineups. We have a lot of different lineups we can play with. So I think we'll be able to kind of see what works and what doesn't, and we're going to be able to make a lot of changes within the court or within the game if we need to. And I think just the chemistry, I think, is a big part. I think we like each other. We like hanging out. We like playing with each other, and we play with each other a lot. So I'm hoping that chemistry is going to be noticeable.
And what do you hope to learn about yourself within this role that you're currently doing?
So I don't have a specific, but I hope I learn a lot of things. I am still growing as a coach, so I hope there's a lot to come up that I can learn along the way, because I'm still growing as a coach, an athlete, everything. So I'm looking forward to it.
Once this event is over, what's your next goal that you have kind of circled in your coaching career?
Well, since the men's provincial team is just coming back, I'd really like to build into something bigger than just one event. I'd like to build other events around it as well. Maybe have some tournaments that we put on before big nationals to help prepare. I know I have hoping to maybe get some university teams from the States to come up, or for us to go down there to play them. So we have some interest around that, and also provinces that aren't too far away, or provinces that are just be interested in coming and building maybe one or two more tournaments throughout the season. So it's just not one tournament that we look forward to every year. I just want more, I think. So building that up would be a big part of it. and the fundraising part, hopefully we can do better on that sort of side as well as a team, and so we can just do more, have more.
And for our listeners that don't know you, can you maybe tell us kind of how you got up to this point as far as your experience and what brought you to being the coach here?
Yeah, so I was a player, played along Claire there actually at Variety Village for quite some years when we were young. So I started when I was about 8 years old. So I have quite a bit of experience playing on the provincial side. I was a part of the men's Ontario team back in the day when we did have this tournament going on. The junior Ontario team, the Black Aces team that we'd face, Team Canada to help them prep for the Paralympics. I got brought on as an analyst for Team Canada, went to the Pan Am Games, Last Chance qualifiers, and Paris Olympics. So yeah, a lot of experience around that. And then just recently I got picked up, got a promotion with them. And I'm the kind of the next gen recruitment and also still the analyst for them as well.
Very cool. That is a stacked resume. I know somebody who you used to play alongside, John Lapke, who, when he found out that you were going to be on the podcast, it was his question when he said, "Can you ask Jesse why he went with a few less players?" Because I just was curious. So I got to give credit where credit is due. John had that question for you. So that was kind of cool to learn that, and that you played with him back in the day.
Yeah, good times.
For you, like when you look at your team and you're getting them prepared for an event such as nationals, and you walk into a room the morning of and you say, that person's looking really good today. That person's looking pretty ready to go. This person may not be. Is there something that you can pick up on in that this person's ready to go and maybe this person's not necessarily feeling it? Or is it, as you're watching the game, you sort of pick up on those things?
I think I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, all these athletes are playing and training really hard. I don't want to look at an athlete right before a game starts and say, you know what, you're not looking quite ready, so I'm not going to put you on the court. I'll let their actions speak for themselves and put them on the court and see what happens and then make a decision on the fly.
Love that answer. Jesse,
one last question. Because it's near the end of the interview, are you sure you don't want to give any provincial secrets on how you're going to play the game? And
we'll just be making some teams push pretty hard. I think that's all I can say.
There's a secret, Cameron. I appreciate your effort in trying to get a little secret.
I was trying to get some more info, but didn't happen. So respect.
Standard coach, tight-lipped.
Yeah.
Jesse, we thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
That was Jesse McNalley, who is the Ontario men's head coach and will be competing with his team at the national championships, as we mentioned, which will be taking place later in May. So we wish them nothing but good luck moving forward.
The Neutral Zone is sponsored by the Ontario Para Network. Their focus on the growth and development of wheelchair basketball, tennis, and rugby in Ontario.
As you just heard, we had a wonderful interview with head coach of Team Ontario, Jesse McNalley, and it was wonderful. But because of that, I thought of two scenarios, and I'll tell you both of them first here. So it got me to thinking, what's the difference between winning a provincial championship versus a league championship, as Claire announced in our headlines? Well done, given the fact that they were both Quebec teams, and she did a wonderful job in getting through that. So that's always good. But I thought we would have a discussion as a panel on the differences. I look at it this way. So if you're looking at a league team, it's more of a longer season grind. If you're looking at it as a provincial or national team, it's more often a short-term tournament where you have to kind of get skill and chemistry kind of mixed together all in one quicker, because you don't have as longer of the grind to kind of battle with. It's kind of like, in my opinion, having lightning in a bottle at times with a tournament. And if you have that chemistry and skill on the team together, it's really, really good. So I'm curious of both of your thoughts on what you think on this. Let's start with Cameron on this one.
Yeah, I think with the league team, it's certainly a longer season, so it's a longer grind. So you've definitely got to keep yourself in shape, but also know when to rest. And then with the provincial tournament, there's just so many different factors. Like if it's the province of Ontario, somebody could be living in Toronto, but then somebody could be living in North Bay or Sudbury. So you don't necessarily get to practice all the time either. They may have, a few camps throughout the year where you all come together, but you don't just get to practice all the time with the people you're playing with like you would a league team. So like you mentioned, Brock, it's a much shorter time to kind of gel and get that chemistry together in order to be able to win. Now, I suppose on a provincial team, if you've been on that team for years and there's been other people on it for years, you kind of get to know how they play and, you get to know them. So maybe it's just kind of like riding a bike when you all get together again. But I think that would be the biggest difference is that with the league, you're practicing all the time and getting familiar with the players. But in provincial, I'm sure a lot of the times you're not able to do that.
Yeah, team cohesion is probably the biggest barrier. I agree. And both on the athlete side and within the coaching role, you have to pick players that you think are going to gel well together, that like Cam said, that gel well together because they have been playing either together on their league teams or has been on the provincial team in the past. And it's one of those things that you hold teams and teammates accountable for training and individual stuff, of course. If you're on any provincial or national team, that you send in training logs and you have to hold yourself to a certain standard, and there's requirements, and it's putting all those pieces together in a short amount of time. It's Jesse's picking this team about a month out from the tournament, and so they have been practicing together and having camps. But it's the league just ended, so it'll be interesting to see what this next month or two looks like for this provincial team specifically, because their league games are over. So how do you fill that gap between a season ending in your league to, okay, now I have to prepare for a bigger tournament like provincials? So it's a lot of accountability on the athletes themselves, and it's going to take it takes a lot of time investing in each other in those relationships, because that's really what team cohesion is all about, is really being connected and having those relationships between athletes. So yeah, it's a big barrier, and it's what makes those tournaments exciting, right? It's how do you put it all together and make it work and have the stars align, as they say, all at the right time.
I always loved competing with provincial programs and national programs, because it really was that moment of putting it all together. I think that leagues, you celebrate over a different type of thing, and you hear from athletes all the time, oh, it was a grind and we got it done. We played X number of games and we got it done. And I think I look at like the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League, and what they're going through is like insane, because they play their league games and then we say, okay, we're going to stop for, a week or so because Canada versus US is going to play in a 5 or 7 game series in the middle of our season. And then, we're going to continue our season, and then we're going to do world championships, and we're going to stop for 2 weeks to do that. Like, to do that, that's really hard to do. And so the athletes that have to switch between one and the other is really tough. Cameron, you were going to say, you can say what you were going to say, and then if you want to respond to what I'm saying, go ahead as well.
Yeah, I was just going to ask both Claire and Brock, because you've been part of National Paralympic programs. like when you have check-ins with your coach or people are holding you accountable, and you have to do logs for, I'm sure, like workouts that you're doing, or is it like what you're eating too? And do they like want to know your BMI and like different things like that as well? Or like how deep does it get?
I can't wait for the day that the BMI is never mentioned again. I think it's very outdated. I think we are in a day and age that athletes' bodies look very different from each other. There's not one standard of what an athlete body looks like or can do, and that's the beauty of team sports too. You find you fit in these pieces of very different people and varying skills and stuff like that to make it all work as one working piece. And I like the mention of the PWHL that Brock brought up. It's a unique turnaround that is similar to the NHL. We just saw it with the Four Nations tournament, that you're playing with the same guys for 82 games, and then all of a sudden you're with a different lineup and totally different team, but you're with athletes that you wish that you could play with all this time, right? It's really rewarding at the same time. And what you see during the Women's World Championships right now that's happening is that the coaching staff is keeping lines together that have been playing together with the PWHL and gelling well together. You see, for example, the power play unit on the women's Canadian team. You have, of course, Poulin and her teammate and also wife, Laura Stacey, is on that line as well. And you can just see from them playing together, both on the national team and now on the same PWHL team, day in and day out, training together. The proof is in the pudding. They work so well together. And to go back to your question, Cameron, it's workouts. It's how many times you're on the ice. What are you doing on the ice? There is conversations around nutrition and stuff, of course. But that's never been something that I personally have had to constantly check in on. There's just been a lot of education around nutrition, of like what to eat when you're resting or what to eat before a game, after a game. Hydration is a big thing, and sleep, making sure that you're sleeping and getting enough rest. Because I heard it put perfectly a while ago, and I can't remember who said it, but our bodies are like phones. We need charged. When your battery is low, you got to shut your eyes and sleep. And that's it. It seems really simple, but that's those simple things stack up, right? So, it's a lot of the time it's coaches holding you accountable, but the better teams have athletes holding each other accountable, and those are the teams that really are successful.
Yeah, I was just curious because I've never been part of a provincial or national program before, to that level where you're being held accountable. So, for fitness, I didn't know if they did any tests, because I remember growing up in the 1800s, and I think we had participation or whatever it was.
BMI was created.
Public school, and I don't even know if they tested our BMI, to be honest with you, but like we had to run so many laps in a certain amount of times, and then we got either gold, silver, or bronze participation, and we had to do all these different things just to see, if we were, healthy, I guess is the best way to say it. So yeah, I just wondered from a exercise standpoint, if they hold you accountable, if they do any tests to see, because like they do that in hockey too, where they'll do a CO2 max test and different things like that. So yeah, I was just kind of wondering if they did any tests like that, because I've never had the pleasure of being part of a national team, but I've been around people that have been part of national or provincial teams.
Yeah, spaces like the CSIO, the Canadian Sport Institute of Ontario, that's where all that fun science stuff is done. The CO2 max, and you got the treadmill for the wheelchair basketball players. Man, it's one of those things that you love to hate kind of thing. Like, you love being on that treadmill, but man, halfway through it, you're regretting every second of it. Sport has gotten to such a cool level where there's so much science behind everything. I can remember there's been multiple camps in various sports where they're checking your blood cells and your fat percentage, and there's so much going around in terms of testing and strength testing at the beginning of tryouts of.
And BMI was just the first thing I thought of because
I
don't even know what it measures. I don't even know what it measures per se, but that was the first thing because I've heard that term used so much. So body mass index.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know my body mass index, I'm a short guy, and my body mass index is probably way off, but I don't care.
Yeah, join the club on that one. I think for me, to answer your question, I mean, we did a lot of building in training plans and nutrition, etc. Like, we always had this like big, Excel sheet that would have a lot of highlighted and like, you're supposed to do this now and this now and that now, and if you're pre-competition, post-competition, this is what you're doing. So it's a very detailed process that you have to go through with your coaching staff, because you do also have to agree to doing it. And Claire, you can probably speak to this as well. I always liked when athletes were the people that were holding you accountable. It felt different versus a coach that would come and tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, smarten up. You shouldn't be eating that popsicle right now that you chose to eat. And I always found that when the athlete came and did that, you feel like, oh, I better shape up, because those are people that I'm affecting on the field of play.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is a different feeling, and it's that bond you have with each other, right? It's a different bond than what you have with your coach. It's the coach isn't there in the locker room pre-game. Yeah, they come in a few minutes before the game, call lineups and all this stuff, and say their motivational speech and get you hyped up. But that hour and a half or even day before a game or even a training camp and leading into things like that, it's your teammates that you lean on, right? And it's those people that at the end of the day, when the game's over, when the tournament's over, those are the people that, your dedication and your commitment really, really affects. And it's, again, that's the beauty of team sports. It's I'm sure it's very different in individual sports, but it's nice to have a group of people that, one, you consider really close friends, consider them family. It's you hold their opinions and their views of you at a much higher place.
No popsicles? That's just a travesty. One frickin' popsicle? No wonder I've never been part of a provincial or national team if I'm not allowed to have one frickin' popsicle.
I'm sure I've told this story on the air, but I'm going to tell it again. I had a teammate once who said to me, "Are you going to come back and play?" And I literally took a picture of the ice cream sundae that I was eating, and I was like, "Nope, I'm quite happy with this right now. This is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm having." There was times you were allowed to have treats and things, but I was kind of eating a popsicle right before a team game, and that was not gone over well. It was a good popsicle. It was a fudgesicle, but
I always
how
have
did
this,
you play?
Everyone's different, and I mean, I know a lot of the hotels and like catered food that we have at camps. They all come with desserts for an option as well. There's Nanaimo bars just teasing you on that table, and
you got to have carbs to get you going.
You'll have one here and there. I've always had myself. I make it through the week and have a good week, and then I can have 2 Nanaimo bars if I want to. So that's just for me. But yeah, it's all about balance, right? It's not you can't have these things ever. But it's at that level, it's finding those spaces and times where you can balance it out.
Life is short. Eat the Nanaimo bars and eat the popsicles. And Brock, after you ate that popsicle, how did you play?
I don't remember. I just remember getting in a whole heap of trouble, and it wasn't even there was a lot of discussion over it. I just got the look from the head coach and went, really? That's what we're doing? And I did kind of like the sheepish, like, okay, I'll put this away now. This is timing is everything, Cameron. Timing is everything, and my timing was really bad.
No,
I'll tell you.
I was trying to hype you up, and I was gonna do like a Super Brock story by you eating that popsicle, and then like you just crushed the other person in competition. And I'm gonna be like, it was probably because of the popsicle, and that's why you won. But no, you just totally messed up the Super Brock story, and you don't remember.
That's all it takes, right? Is that one look, either from the coach or a teammate of, are you sure? Are you sure you want to be doing this right now?
So at the Paralympic Games in 2008, when we went to the village is like the size of 2 Costco's. Okay. So like if you've been not the village, the eating area is the size of 2 Costco's, and like there's everything you can imagine in there, like good options, bad options, the whole 9 yards. And they had a McDonald's at both of the Paralympics that I went to. And we walked in and we were all excited because, McDonald's is great and it's not good for you at all. And our coaches literally looked at us and said, no McFlurries, no hamburgers until the competition is over. And it deflated the balloon, but you're like, yeah, McDonald's is garbage, so like you probably shouldn't eat that. But I can tell you, after we were all done the competition and or eliminated, we went straight for that McFlurry that they had. It was great. But yeah, it's that control that you have to have, and I just got to a point I don't have the control anymore to be able to do this, and so yeah, but yes, it's necessary. I'm really having trouble speaking English today. It's necessary to keep everything in line, but it is the hardest thing that I found was the sleep thing, because they'd say, oh yeah, go to sleep, get some good rest, but it would be always like your mind would be on 100 times over, and you're laying there at the time you're supposed to go to sleep, and it's like, I can't because I'm worried about tomorrow's game, and I'm worried about this, and it's really tough as an athlete to do the simple things, and I think a lot more credit needs to be given to those athletes that put in the time, because it isn't as easy as don't eat that popsicle or just go to sleep when you're told to go to sleep, because it's not that easy when your brain is going a mile a minute.
So what do you, ladies and gentlemen, do when it's a big competition the next day and you're not able to sleep? What do you do to try to get yourself to go to sleep?
Pray and hope that it works?
Not the answer I was expecting. But...
I keep having this conversation with the newer athletes on the women's national team, because they just don't know how we had it 10 years ago of 4 athletes to a room and everyone's sharing a bed, and there's always that 1 or 2 people that are really bad snorers, and it's just it ruins your sleep. And so it's you really have to find those downtimes during the week or competition or training camp where you have those gaps to rest, to really utilize that instead of going out and exploring, or it's another piece of that control that Brock talks about. But I've started bringing earplugs with me to camps and stuff, and that you just got to find your own way to either find your own space or stuff like that. Yeah, it's tricky. It all depends on who you're rooming with.
Yeah, like I've never been a provincial or national athlete, but I have problems sleeping too. So for me, like I'll use a meditation app, and if somebody else is in the room, I can always put, headphones on or whatever. And usually and I do a guided one, because if I'm listening to somebody and they're telling me to, breathe in, breathe out, and, they talk about, oh, whatever, like move your arms or feel your arms, feel your legs, blah, 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 then I'm just concentrating on that and I'm not thinking about anything else at all. So I would think hopefully meditation would work for a lot of people.
Yeah, so to be totally fair to your question, because I was being kind of tongue-in-cheek and saying pray, I hope it works. But yeah, I mean, visualization was sort of a thing that you would use because a lot of people, you might hear the phrase 90% mental and 10% physical, and I really believe in that. And so for me, yes, it was visualization and breathing, because you're right, it does take you sort of away from that I'm not falling asleep. I also found that eye masks work really well, because even if have your eyes open, it's dark anyways, so you're just like, hopefully you're falling asleep because of the darkness, and then you're using the breathing that you might be doing. Like, there's tons of techniques you can try, and you have to find that right meditation that works for you, because some of those voices on those meditation, it's like, oh, I couldn't fall asleep to that if I wanted to. I still use them now. Like, my wife and I use those free apps that work, and it happens. But also, Cameron, just even putting on a little bit of music or just like white noise, something so that you're turning your brain away from, oh, I missed that shot earlier, and if I only made that shot, then it would have been this. And like, you can't do anything about it at 11 o'clock at night, so just sleep. But it's very, very difficult to turn your mind off and say, no, seriously, like, sleep. Like, it's really, really tough. So
that's I'm different in both those aspects. I need complete silence when I sleep, so that's could be a little difficult sometimes. 90% of the time, I haven't had issues sleeping with other teammates and roommates, but I have tried those eye masks multiple times, and it feels like someone's poking me in the eyeballs when I'm wearing them. So they do not. I've even bought ones with like lavender infused and like all these things, and it's going to help you sleep. No, it feels like someone's literally like squeezing my eyeballs into the back of my head.
My eyes.
I know the feeling. If it's not right in that just so spot, you're in big trouble with that. It's trouble. I know people that even like would try the those masks that you put in the freezer, and like, it's supposed to help with your headaches, and I'm like, I can't imagine, because to me, and I never tried it, like, I always was using the standard eye mask, but like, teammates of mine would use those frozen ones, and I'm like, but doesn't that feel like an ice cube on your face? And they're like, no, try it. And so I totally relate, Claire, to the poking of the eyeballs, in the sense that I had teammates that would be like, no, put this in the freezer, and I'm like, but then it feels like I got an ice cube on my face. Like, no, thank you.
My eyeball's being stabbed with an icicle right now.
But at least you're not thinking about the games you have or the games you had in the past. You're thinking about an ice pick going through your eye, and that might be better.
Fair enough.
I promise you that when I wrote this part of the script, this was my hope, but I didn't know where we would go with it, but I just love this. Like, the thing you'll get with this show is that you'll get honesty. Like, I love Claire saying, putting eye mask on is like someone poking me in the eyeball. Like, that's real. That's truth for Claire. So there you go. Yeah. Provincial and national teams are fun. Claire, did you have more of excitement about winning with club team versus provincial team versus national team?
Yeah, I wish I could say that I have more wins than I do on the national stage. I have a lot of silvers behind me right now. But I would say it's a different feeling for sure. It's especially when you haven't won against a certain team or in a certain tournament for so long, and it's really circumstantial. And I have won the Ontario Sledge Hockey League now 3 years in a row with the Durham Steelhawks, and it feels different every time, and you're like, okay, yeah, we did it again, cool. But Yeah, winning those games with that Canada jersey on, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. Especially, I mean, the best rivalry in hockey and in sports is Canada USA. So, yeah, those games, winning those games with that group with that jersey on, yeah, it's special.
I was thinking about this question this week, and the obvious answer is what Claire gave, and Claire's not wrong in saying that. But in Moncton, in 2011, we went to Moncton, and I was playing with Team Ontario, and for the first time in my career, and never did it again, I shot 100% in a team game, and I am proud to say that my team played really well, but even they would admit to you that in that final, I was like, I'm playing well, come on my back, and let's get this done. And so for me, that Moncton game in 2011-ish, I will never forget. Shooting 100% in a game was something I never did before then, never did after it. I had some high numbers, of course, but to get that 100%, and when the coach turns the stats around, it's like, you just shot 100%, and it's like, that's cool. And so that's something I will never forget. But winning with your national team is something that you also will never forget. And I've built some really good bonds and things like that over that, and winning for your country. And there's nothing like putting that maple leaf on your back and being like, we're doing this, and this is happening. So lots of good memories. Before we move on to Rogers spending billions of dollars, any other comments?
No, let's get to the dough.
Yeah. All right. So Rogers, they spent $11 billion, which is more than double what it was last time when they had the rights to the national game. So here's what we know. We know that Rogers actually sublets games to Amazon Prime, which I did not know. I thought Amazon Prime was a whole separate thing, which would explain the amount of Canadian content that exists on Amazon Prime when it's those Monday night games. They say there will be less blackouts than in previous years. TSN will hold half of the games for the Maple Leafs and other Canadian teams. Thoughts on this thus far? I've got something on CBC, but I want to save that for a bit. What do you make of this deal? Let's start with Cameron on this one.
That is a crap load of money. In order to be able to secure the rights. Last time it was like 5.2 billion Canadian, and now it's like over 11 billion. And Sportsnet was having to, cut jobs like 2-3 years into the last deal that was 12 years. So with it doubling, I can only imagine, I'm concerned about the cuts that they might have to do, with this. But if they get a bunch of money for the subletting, I guess is what we're calling it, to Amazon, and, maybe they'll sublet to somebody else as well to get some of that money back. But is the ad revenue going to be there in order to pay for the $11 billion? Because a lot of people, and I guess they have more avenues for ad revenue as well, because it's not just on the TV, because it's on the internet as well if you're streaming games. So they'll get ad revenue from that as well. So maybe they will. But like I said, looking at the last deal, they were having to cut positions and the quality of the game wasn't as good. So I just hope that it's a good investment, that the quality is going to be better, because everyone loves the Amazon Prime, what they put on the Monday Night Hockey. Everyone loves it. So hopefully Rogers will invest in the technology that is needed to make the game better. And I hate to say it because it's such an institution, but Hockey Night in Canada, the way they do it, I just think maybe it's time for a change for that as well, to kind of mix it up, get new people in there. And I hate anyone to lose their job, but I think Ron McLean and some of the others, maybe it's time for them to to go and to get some both men and women fresh ideas in there, and just to kind of change it up, because it's just, to me, it's very stale.
I would like to see a lot more accessibility included in the delivery of these games. Yeah, I hope the fact that there's going to be less blackouts is a great thing. I tried to watch a couple games last night and I had that issue. So hopefully, yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a lot less of that, which is great, because I mean, the more hockey you can watch, the better. But I would really like to see this money put towards accessibility of closed captions and signing and just ways that people with disabilities can connect and be involved in watching the sport as well. It's you don't see really any of it in sports. So I would hope that with an increase in the money invested like this, that it would involve some sort of accessibility and focus on EDI.
Here to that comment. Exactly. I share the similar sentiments to what Cameron has brought forward, in that there needs to be a little bit more fresh blood put into it. And I say it more on the fact that the age of the people that we're talking about, and I think that's a factor. So they do have to have a plan beyond that. We did try the George Stroumboulopoulos situation when this deal first came out, because Ron did get let go, and then he got brought back because the world was up in arms that Ron McLean wasn't part of the broadcast, so he came back. But I do think they're going to have to inject some youth. I would also like to see some more women in the broadcast booth. I know we've seen Kenzie Lalonde on Ottawa Senators games and some others as panelists. I think we need to see more of women around the game. I think TSN does a decent job in making sure that women are represented on panels. When I think of Cheryl Pounder, she does a phenomenal job. In fact, she hasn't been on Leaf broadcast or any other broadcast lately because she's broadcasting the World Championship. I would like to see her used in a different role within the National Hockey League. I think they made a big mistake in getting rid of Christine Simpson, who is now part of the PWHL broadcast for CBC, and I think that was a good idea. But I think the hockey world is suffering when you're taking reporters who are good at their job and deserve what they're doing, and then you're saying, no, we're going to move beyond you. Well, there's going to be people in the situation where you're going to have to move beyond them because they shouldn't be working at the end of this deal based on their age, simply. Cameron.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, in a lot of the, like Christine Simpson in particular, I think it's probably because she's been with Hockey Night Canada so long, and or Sportsnet, that her salary probably just got too high, and that's why they probably let her go. It probably had nothing to do with, her performance on television, just like Bob McCowan. He ended up making too much money and they wanted to change, and so they got rid of him. But I think it was more than money than anything else. So, but Sportsnet, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I very well could be, but I think that they definitely have some women represented as well through Sportsnet and through their hockey programs as well. I'm not sure about regionally, but definitely on the national broadcasts on Saturday, I thought there was either 2 or 3 of them.
There are some. I just think that they're on a national level more, they're on a national level more than the regional level. So you see them on the bigger stages, which I understand the play there. You're obviously going to put them on the the bigger stages, but I just think TSN does more with the regional. Now, I understand the argument's going to be, well, all TSN has is regional. I get it. I understand what I just said was totally like, duh, because all they have is regional games. But I just, putting them in better positions to succeed is what I see. And I know I can hear people in my ear going, you're saying that because you interviewed James Duthie last week. Yes, I am. That is exactly why I'm saying it. So that's just the reality of where we are. And I think for me, I just want to see more women in roles that are identified as this is the men's playground. And it's like, no, I think we need to see more women in more roles, Claire.
Yeah, it's pretty simple in my eyes. I'm probably pretty biased in that answer, but yeah, the talent is there. Absolutely, there's a pool of talent to pull from, and I think it's always a good idea. Just like any teams and national teams, you see a bit of a turnaround every once in a while, and it's good for the sport, and it's having some fresh new faces. And yeah, it sucks to say goodbye to some and have them move on. But you need those new faces. You need those new ideas and opinions and point of views expressed in different ways. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all evolves and what it looks like and who's involved and who's not and what changes. So yes, more women always.
This deal does not start until the 2026-2027 season and then runs 12 years from that point. And thus, we will still see everything we see now, including CBC and Hockey Night in Canada. However, what was mentioned was that they do not have a place for CBC in this next deal. They do not have a guarantee that they will be a part of it. Cameron, you kind of gave your thoughts a little bit, so I'll start with Claire on this one. Are you bothered with CBC? Possibly not. Like, on the surface, they're not involved right now, beginning 2026. Do you see a place for CBC and Hockey Night in Canada based on the almost 50-year history, 50-plus year history that they have?
Of course, it's been a product that has done very well, not just on screen, but just the ways that they've been involved in different communities and giving back to the communities and growing the game that way. It's they're not just investing in the games that you see broadcasted. It's those other initiatives that they really invest and put their time into. So, and of course, CBC is one of those organizations that when you think about good quality Canadian coverage, it's one that comes to mind, right? So you hope that those bonds and that relationship continues. But it's really kind of not scary, but it makes you go, like, I wonder what's going on there when it's not right off the bat they're involved with this.
Yeah, CBC, I don't know about any more because I think there's no more analog television. It's all cable now, I think. But before, CBC was kind of the one channel that was always going to be part of your TV package. And you had to pay extra money for TSN or for Sportsnet. So to get more eyeballs on the viewing, the hockey game, you needed it to be on CBC. So if that's still the case, I don't think they can take it off CBC because then you might be stopping a lot of people from watching the Saturday night hockey game that they're so used to watching.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the way they've spread out the Saturday night games, they're using a lot more of the, I'm going to call it standard cable channels, like your City TVs, your Sportsnets, your Sportsnet ones, which come with some packages, but they're using the ones that people would have to be able to broadcast it. They're using Omni for different languages and different ethnicities who might want to be enjoying the game. And my fear is this, exactly what Cameron said earlier, that maybe he would like to see people move on. My fear is this: if you get rid of CBC and you take away the Hockey Night in Canada brand, if that's what you choose to do, if people got bent out of shape about Ron McLean leaving in like 12 years ago at first, and then they had to go back to him, I can't imagine the reaction if you said, we're just taking away the Hockey Night in Canada brand and CBC is no longer part of this, Cameron. Like, people are going to be up in arms over it.
Yeah, 100% they will. And if Ron McLean goes, like, people are going to get used to it. It might be, a few years of pain, 4 or 5, who knows. But people will get used to the new host, especially if it's a good host. Because there's plenty of good hosts out there that can also tell stories like Ron McLean does, or do it in such a way that, I'm more of a funny guy. I prefer, kind of being funny or lighthearted. So, like TSN, they had Jay Onrait and Dan O'Toole, and they kind of that's the first one that I remember where they were kind of funny and brought kind of a shtick to it, and a lot of people love that. Biz Nasty, Paul Bissonnette, he's got a great personality as well and kind of brings fun to it. And I'm not saying that the host has to be that, but I certainly think you need that these days to have a fun element to it. And look at the TNT panel. They're doing great, and they're always kind of having fun or kind of chirping back and forth. And, it's a great program. So I just think they need to change it up, and Canadians will adjust. However, if they take it off to CBC, if you're going to lose a lot of viewers because that's the only channel that they're able to watch it on, I think that it needs to be on CBC.
It's at the end of the day, you're trying to get new viewership, right? You have the viewership of these loyal hockey fans that are going to tune in no matter what game is on. So the goal is to continue to bring in new viewership and keep those ratings up. So yes, you have to maybe bring in faces that reflect this next generation of sports fans. And it's you saw it in what happened with Don Cherry. It's there was a whole generation that was used to seeing him on TV and loved his point of views and really spoke to that generation of hockey fans. And it's a changing of the times. You have to stay current, and I think that sometimes that looks like saying goodbye to people that you've seen and been used to for so long. But it's I mean, Cam, you say this all the time. It's about the bottom dollar, right? It's all about money when it comes at the end of the day. And
the almighty dollar. Yeah.
Viewership equals dollars. So you have to stay current, and the only way to do that is to make sure you're relating to the current or the next generation of viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the example of someone that we all know in different ways, but the public address announcer for the Toronto Maple Leafs, when he took over in 2015, 2016, for the great Andy Frost, who did that for like 2 decades. I mean, he was getting booed, Mike Ross was, every time his voice was over the PA in the early days of him. And I mean, he was feeling a way about it. Like, it was like, okay, is this the right position? But again, you fast forward almost 8-9 years, and he's still there, and people love him. And I think people don't like change, but eventually they get around to it, and they come around and say, we're okay with this. I just think what they did with Ron McLean the first time, when they took him away, and then we started this new contract, and George Stroumboulopoulos came, who had his own talk show on CBC. He just didn't know enough about hockey for the fans, and so it was like, we need that familiar voice. I'd like to see someone like, and I'm gonna put a name out there, I think David Amber would do a wonderful job in the role of Ron McLean. He does do some games as the lead panelist, but just to give someone a bit younger and a bit more clout to a younger generation like that would be where I would go. I don't think you can go too young, and and not knowledgeable about the game, because sports fans are crazy and they want knowledge and understanding if they're going to watch the game. So it'll be interesting to see how it starts in 2026, and it'll be fun to watch.
And I'm like, if I can put a name in the hat, with the hockey that's on Monday night through Prime, I think the host of that is Adnan Virk. Is that his name? Yeah. I would think he would be great as the new host of Hockey Night in Canada as well, and kind of using him to kind of go from there. So,
yep, I would agree. Claire, do you want to throw a name in there since we did?
I mean, since I've been watching the Women's World Championships, I love the way that Sammy Jo Small broadcasts. I would love to see her on more stages like that. I think she does a fantastic job, and she gives a great point of view from her experience on the national team.
Yeah, I would agree. She's also married to a pair ice hockey player who has done wonderful things. So that's a good connection there as well. That is the end of our show for this week. It's hard to believe that another week has gone by. I'd like to thank Claire Buchanan, Cam Jenkins. I'd also like to thank our technical producer, Mark Alfalo. Stay tuned for next week, because you just never know what happens when you enter the Neutral Zone. Be safe, be well, and we appreciate your listenership. Thank you very much.
The Neutral Zone is brought to you by the Ontario Para Network. Connect with them at ON Para Network. Follow them online at onpara.ca. Now that's a winning combination.